You are tuned in to Just One Hot Mom with host Nanika Ansari. Get ready. She's about to bring you that fire, that flavor, that heat, all that passion, and more from around the world and in your neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Hey, hot peeps, it's your girl Nanika Ansari, and you are tuned in to Just One Hot Mom. Hey, there we go. Hey, hot peeps, this is your girl Nanika Ansari, and you are tuned into Just One Hot Mom. And as you can see, I am alone in the studio, but there is a lovely picture up next to me, and this is Miss Bianca Vann. She is on the line. Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
How are you, dear?
I am great. How are you?
I am amazing. So just so you guys know, Bianca is in probably gorgeous, sunny California right now. How's the weather?
I don't want to tell you, but it's
I'm already jealous.
Today.
I'm already jealous.
Yes.
So I'm excited, you guys, to have Bianca on the line because I looked her up and she is one dope chick. So we are going to be talking today about getting unstuck. Have you ever been at a point in your life where you just feel like you can't manage to get out of a situation, like you can't move forward, you can't go backwards, you just don't know where to go, you're just stuck? And so Bianca was nice enough to write us a workbook and to help us figure out how to get unstuck. So Bianca, can you tell us what made you feel the need to write Unstuck, to get that workbook together?
Well, initially, it did not start off as a book. Initially, I was ending a relationship and just in a very dark place in my life, and I was trying to make sense of my own life, so I literally just started writing down thoughts. Like, it started on index cards, the back of receipts, envelopes from bill collectors. I was just trying to write out how I was feeling to try to make sense of the season that I was in my life. And literally overnight, God gave me the vision to basically write my journey, not only as a way to be an outlet for myself, but to give direction and instruction to other people on steps to, divorcing the things that keep us stuck. I mean, in all actuality, we're stuck to a lot of different things, and it's not just about a relationship or just about people per se, but it could be stuck in different mindsets, stuck in habits, or, stuck in financial difficulties. So I just wanted to take the season that I was in and write a story, that will ultimately bring God glory, but help others change their life in a way that they may not necessarily know they need to change.
Okay, so I want you to take us back to a moment, because you said you were in the middle of ending a relationship. Can you take us back to that moment where you figured out you were stuck? How did you know you were stuck?
How did I know I was stuck? Honestly, I found myself in a mundane routine, and I would wake up. I would, at the time, me and my fiance were living together. I would go to work a job that wasn't paying what I should have been making, come home, eat, get in bed, and go to sleep. And that was my life. And, there was in emptiness. There was no thrill. There was no just no oomph about where I was. I was just so used to my regular routine. At the time, I wasn't doing speaking engagements. I wasn't hosting retreats. I was just kind of stagnant in life. At the time, I was 298 pounds, and I was just comfortable. I was comfortable, and life literally looked the same every day. And I was like, you know what, there has to be more than this. There has to be more than this season, this place that I'm in. No, don't get me wrong. Ending my relationship with my fiance was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. The hardest thing. But I had to realize that sometimes when you love somebody, you have to realize that you may not be the best person or best thing for them. And it's unfair to them to stay stuck in a relationship with someone who's stuck within themselves. So I just found myself just stuck, and just unhappy with Bianca. So I had to take the necessary steps to just divorce and get rid of all the things that I was connected to so I could really focus on rebuilding myself. Because if I didn't fix Bianca, Bianca will continue to attract the same kind of things and be stuck in the same places.
And see, you like to call it stuck. I think when we talked before, I told you I like to call them pause people. You know how you press pause on the VCR or the DVR, and you press pause, and then if you let pause stay on too long, you start to get that little bounce thing of the logo and stuff like that, and you're just paused right there for a long period of time. And so you're stuck in the state of like, okay, I can't get out of this. You know what I'm saying? You said 298 pounds. That, woo, Bianca, because I've seen you now. So I was like, you must have really got unstuck. So, but would you?
I'm just fine. Like, I am just fine.
So would you agree that it takes a lot of mental, physical, spiritual, financial, and emotional help to get you unstuck? Or what were the main components that helped you get unstuck?
I think mental is by far the most important thing, because until you convince your mind to do something, you won't do it. And I literally became sick of where I was, and mentally I had to make the conscious decision to make the choice. I mean, I remember the days leading up until, because I literally decided to leave Maryland, where I was, on a Wednesday and drive across the country to California for a fresh start, and I did that in a matter of 4 days. And I literally had to convince myself daily, Bianca, you can do it, you can do it. I quit my job, I just up and left. So I think until your mind is made up, you won't do anything. And of course, spiritually, there was definitely, I was definitely at a very low place, and I had no one, honestly, to turn to but God. Even when I decided to start the journey of trying to become unstuck, I didn't really share that with other people. I didn't share that I was quitting my job. I didn't share that me and my fiance were no longer going to be together. It was just kind of like, okay, God, it's you and me out here, and I need you, and it's definitely, it takes all of that emotionally. There were days where I just cried, because your life changes. Changing, is the main component to becoming unstuck. And we're so used to being the same. We're so used to
the routine,
the way our life is. So change is hard, So it was difficult. It was difficult. I'm like, God, plenty of times I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I really doing this? But at the end of the day, you realize that you make decisions for a reason. And although it's very difficult, and although financial challenges come up, and emotional setbacks and mental obstacles, you have to figure out your why. You have to figure out your why and remember your why. And that's what keeps you unstuck.
And see, I'm thinking like you had to be at a really emotional state, because you know what, we need people. Well, we say we need people to help us get through stuff. We need our tribe, we need our village. And so for you to pick up all your stuff and not get anybody involved, I'm just saying your emotional state must have been really frazzled to not be able to talk to anybody about what you were going through. Why did you choose to not talk to anybody? Or, why did you choose like, hey, I'm just going to do this alone, just me and Jesus? Why didn't you involve anybody else?
Well, honestly, I didn't want to necessarily be persuaded either way. I didn't want to call my family and tell them, because I didn't want them to worry. I didn't want to, because me and my fiance family were very close. I didn't want to call them because I didn't want anyone to change my mind. I didn't want people to try to talk me out of it. I just knew I had to go. And I didn't want my decision to be deterred by anybody. I just said, God, it's literally you and me. Like, I need you to get me in the car and help me drive, because in my own strength, I can't do it. Like, I cannot. And I didn't want other people to be my support either. I didn't want to go on the strength that other people was going to have my back. It was like, Bianca, you have to do this for you. You can't depend on other people. You can't always tell everybody what you're doing. When God gives you the unction to do something, you got to be quiet and make moves. And that's kind of where I was. And I had my Honda Civic and my little 4-year-old, and we hopped in the car, and we just, we made it. We made it. It was tough.
But what is tough. But so?
Ultimately,
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Bianca. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, ultimately, looking back, I'm glad that I kind of kept that to myself until, because, you know, I'm still trying to make sense of it myself, you know, and having to explain that to 15 different people every other minute, you know, that's draining, you know, and I was just in a place where I was literally convincing myself that I was really doing it, convincing myself that, you know, I was going to start fresh and start over. So just having to repeat that over and over again just would have been too much emotional. It would have been an emotional roller coaster, I think.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because oftentimes, you know, people will tell everybody everything that's going on in their life, and then they'll hear the judgment, they'll hear other people's expectations, and then they'll be upset that people are judging them or people are trying to tell them what to do. But sometimes you do have to keep the stuff to yourself in order to move forward in your own process, to stay in your own lane. We always say we want to stay in our own lane and tell other people to stay in their lanes, but if you invite somebody over into your lane, what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly.
And so, what does it feel like to be unstuck?
What does it feel like to be unstuck? It feels freeing. It feels freeing. In this current season of my life, I'm realizing that unstuck is a daily thing. It's more than just, oh, I'm going to become unstuck, and it's not magic. Like, it doesn't happen abracadabra. You know, it's literally a conscious decision to not allow yourself to mentally go back to those places where you found yourself stuck. So every day I say to myself, Bianca, you're going to get through this day. Obstacles are going to come up. But you have to make the decision to not let them consume you, to not let them overpower you. And I think that mindset is becoming unstuck. Becoming unstuck doesn't stop life from happening, but it shifts your mindset so that you respond to things differently.
And see, so it's a mental thing. Like you said before, it's really, it really is a mental thing, becoming unstuck, making up in your mind that you're just not going to do things the way you've been doing them. You have to really, you're right. It's almost like when you're in recovery, you have to consciously every day remember that I'm in recovery. And so I have to keep doing it. So to remain unstuck, you have to do it on a daily basis. It's a practice.
Exactly.
All right, so Bianca, I'm about to have you help some people. How do people discover that they're stuck? Like, there's somebody listening right now who doesn't think that they're stuck, but people around them can see that they're stuck and they're feeling it, but they just don't know how to express they're stuck. How can people discover when they're stuck in a situation?
I think that it's funny you ask that, because the book actually starts off asking 4 or 5 different questions. And they're questions that you don't normally think about on the day-to-day. But I think that for me, it was more so, okay, 5 years from now, am I going to say that I settled for life or that I existed through life? And that was kind of the determination for me at first. You know, it's like, you know, I don't want to look back and say I've been a social worker for all these years and still barely making money, or I've been in the same relationship and we're not growing, or, you know, I had the same habitual mindset and I'm always looking for the wrong and everything and never finding a positive light. I think you have to ask yourself, you know, you literally have to take a mirror and look at yourself and say, who am I? And would the younger version of myself be happy of the woman or the man I am today? You know, am I entertaining people in my life that I know are only supposed to be seasonal when the season is over? Am I at a job where I'm not fulfilled? Am I underappreciated? Am I at a church that I'm not being spiritually fed? Am I just, you know, going with the mundane routine of just traditional church? You know, am I sitting back on a talent or a career that I know that God has asked me to launch or asked me to start? Is there a book I'm supposed to write? Is there a song that's supposed to be written? I think those are self questions you have to ask yourself, honestly. I mean, and the book does ask those questions. It does give you prompts, things to think about, because being stuck is natural. It's familiar to us. So nobody really sits and thinks, okay, am I really changing, or am I just, you know, going to keep doing the same routine I've always done? You know, no one wakes up and thinks like that. You know what I mean? So they give you the prompts. It actually helps you identify people in your life that shouldn't be there. You know, people, in your life that you've held captive for whatever reason. I think that we have to get to a place where we're open to change, and I think that's where a lot of times people remain stuck, is because they're okay with where they are, but being stuck keeps you from living the abundant life that God created you to live. The Bible says that he came that we may have life and have it more abundantly. So if we're not living an abundant life, there's a problem.
And see, I think you're right.
That's kind of...
I think you're right, but I think people become very familiar with situations. So, like you said, you were living in a routine. You became familiar with your situation. And familiar is real comfortable. People don't like to be uncomfortable. So do you find it difficult that when you are talking to people about becoming unstuck, that, they become uncomfortable because them being unstuck is actually going to take them outside of their comfort zone?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have plenty of people tell me that they can't even get past the first chapter of the book because they're not ready. They say, yeah, I had to close your book because I'm not ready to face this just yet.
Wow.
I mean, you're absolutely right.
And so I think, though, like, in order to, you can't keep saying that you want to move forward, that you want to live a great life, that until you decide, like, I'm going to live outside of my comfort zone, because familiar is very, it's comfortable, it's your reality. But the moment that you have to say, like, I'm going to, I think a person I work with called it disruptive innovation. And I never got what it was until I told myself I was going to live uncomfortably. And so people don't like for you to disturb their world. So here it is, you got this book and it's disturbing their world. What are the first steps that you would tell? Yeah, Bianca, you're causing a problem in these people's lives. You're trying to move them into their destiny. So, but when you find that person that's truly uncomfortable with moving forward in their life, how do you help them? How do you push them to move to where they're supposed to be? To at least take the first step.
Well, I'm big on meeting people where they are. That was something I learned in grad school. Is everyone is not ready to change at the same time. And like you said, people's lives will really be disrupted. They really analyze different aspects of their life when they actually find themselves stuck. It's scary. Mm-hmm. It's scary. And I remember the way that I felt the day I said I'm going to get in the car and drive across the country and leave everything. That was the most terrifying experience of my life.
I would have cried.
So I get it. I totally get it. And I believe that if I push somebody too hard when they're not ready, it's not going to be as receptive as when they are ready. You have to allow the person to want to make up their own mind. I can make up my mind for everybody. But if you don't want to live out what I'm trying to show you or what God has given me in my life as an example, then it's not going to last.
So you think
it's not going to last? And I think that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Do you think it is the fear of the unknown that keeps us in a situation? Like, there are people that are stuck in marriages right now that they might not need to be in, relationships. They're stuck at jobs that they don't need. Do you think it's the fear of stepping out truly on faith that keeps people stuck in these situations?
Absolutely. Fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of winning. I had somebody tell me, she said, Bianca, I'm scared to become unstuck because I may like being unstuck. And that scares me.
Wow.
So I think fear is definitely an underlying reason as to why people just stay where they are.
So we would rather set ourselves up for failure than to step out and say, you know what, I might win at this. I might actually be good at this. I might actually change my life and change other people's lives. But because I'm scared that I might win, I'm just going to stay stuck. Like, I think that's like a hard concept, but it's hard for me to, take, because it's like, why would you want to be in a situation that you don't like? Because I'm going to assume that when you're stuck, you're really not liking where you are. You're just dealing with where you are. You're not liking it. You're just going to deal with it every day. And so it's just constant, I'm dealing with it. You're not living. How can you live and be stuck?
Right.
So
exactly.
Exactly. Bianca, give us the first steps to getting unstuck, because I feel like there's somebody listening right now who's like, I'm stuck, but I don't know how to step outside of the stuck. You don't have to give us the book, because we're going to promote the book, because y'all need to get the book. But can you give us like what were the first 3 steps be for a person to become unstuck?
The first 3 steps. Okay, honey, child. Okay. The first 3 steps. I think the first thing would be to make up your mind that you want to change. That's the first thing. I think even if it may not be a relationship, it may not be something that extreme. It could be I'm just stuck in a routine and I know I need to work out more, or I need to read my Bible more. I need to, so whatever it is, in whatever capacity you're stuck in, first of all, you have to make up your mind. You have to make up your mind that you're going to do something, about where you are. That would be the first step, is to make up your mind that you're going to try. It's not saying I'm making my mind and my whole life is going to change tomorrow. No, you're just making up the first step to say, okay, I'm going to try this out and let's just see what happens. I think that accountability played a major part in it. I think that, once you make up your mind, and you're not necessarily negotiating with someone and telling them, what should I do? But it's more so, this is what I'm doing and I need you to help me. Getting people in your life that will push you, getting people in your life that have been where you are. I remember when I was trying to lose weight, I connected with people that have lost weight. I connected with people who would push me and educate me to what I was trying to achieve. And the third thing would definitely be to stay in prayer. I think that ultimately that's the most important thing, is to stay prayed up, because change is not easy. It's not easy, and our flesh is weak. We're human, and I think that those are the 3 steps to becoming unstuck. The first 3 steps to becoming unstuck, but they also help you to stay unstuck. Because even in my life now, I find myself still having to make my mind up over and over again, because we're human and we naturally, will revert to what's comfortable. I have to keep people in my life who are going to build me up and not tear me down, people who are going to push me and not deter me to sit on my gifts and things like that, and me and God, I mean, we closer than we've ever been, because becoming unstuck can put you in lonely positions. You know what I mean? A lot of people think, oh, you think better than everybody, because no, it's not that I think I'm better, and not that I think that, I don't necessarily need people in my life, but you have to evaluate the circle you're in, and sometimes we give seasonal people lifetime expectations and wonder why we still stuck in the same relationship that's not growing.
Okay,
so I think that
Bianca, you're going to take us to church now. You're right. Tell them about the seasonal people, because I think sometimes we get stuck in that loyalty aspect of it. Like, this is my friend, this is my crew, we've known each other for forever, and now all of a sudden I'm trying to do something different, but you're not getting the support you need to do that something different, and so you just stay stuck with those same people. But for me, I feel like it's okay to still have that same crew, but to evolve and to bring other people into your circle that are maybe can help you remain unstuck and to help grow you.
Right, for sure.
So what did you tell those people? So let's circle back a little bit. What did you tell those people who were in your circle but not necessarily supportive of your unstuckness? How do you deal with them?
They probably listening right now.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, girl. No, but honestly, in most cases, the relationship or the friendship kind of dissolved on its own, and I didn't necessarily have to say much. It was obvious that we were going on 2 different paths. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not the easiest thing. There are a lot of relationships, especially with my ex-fiance's family and people that we went to church together with. There were a lot of relationships that were hard to let go of. They were hard to people who who I thought were really friends and they weren't, or people who I thought really had my best interest and they did it. It hurts. But you have to realize that your life is your life, and not everybody deserves a piece of your life in every season. So it's almost like I love you, but it's not working. It's not working right now. And one thing I used to tell my ex-fiance, I told him, I said, sometimes when you really love somebody, you got to let them go. And that's the true form of love, because I'm not loving you. I'm not the best for you. I'm not pouring into you like I should. So let me let you go and let me let you fly and find somebody else who can do that for you. You know, so I had a tough time with that. I will say that. I had a tough time with that, but I look back and, you know, I wish all those people well, and a lot of them still don't talk to me to this day. But, you know, hey, it's a new season, and with each new season, you gain more people and, you know, people who are really for you, and you got to keep it moving.
But I think that's another part of that fear, is that you're afraid to leave people because they become normal in your life. They've been playing a role in your life for so long that if you leave them, then who will fill that role? You know, people are really afraid to be alone. I think we talked about this on a couple of dating shows, that, you know, loneliness is real. And when you feel that way, you will tend to feel it with people who aren't really supposed to be there. So I'm really glad that you encouraged everybody to stay prayed up, because in the moment of weakness, because, you know, loneliness causes you to let your guard down. It causes you to let stuff in that shouldn't naturally be there. And so in your weakness, you could let something in that shouldn't be there. And that'll keep you stuck for real. I know a whole bunch of lessons about that. So here it is. So when you think about starting over again, because honestly, you really like restarted your whole life all over again. Do you think the fact that people don't want to get unstuck is because the restart would seem like it's a failure to them, and who wants to fail?
Right.
So I said, do you okay, no, I'm asking you. I said, do you think people don't want to get unstuck because that it causes a restart, and the restart is failure? Why do you think people are afraid of failure?
Because we live our life in expectation. I think expectation that other people have given us. I know I felt like I failed. Sure did. Just keep in mind, I was planning a whole wedding. Like my life was planned out, and I even think I wrote in the book. Like I felt like failure. I felt like I had people that were going to tell me I told you so. You know, I felt like I had made so much progress and got knocked down, you know. But I think that in any capacity, I think that we as a generation or as a people, we're afraid to not live up to certain standards. And for me, I felt like even when it comes to my brand, because when I wrote the book BeeComing UnStuck, that's when the shift happened between BeeSpeaks, which is my former brand, to I am Bianca Vann, and I felt like I had failed BeeSpeaks when my life changed and I moved out here. I felt like I had failed because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, you know. And I think that we have to figure out how to learn from losing. And I think that we get so bombarded in the failure, in the act of that we stay there. We stay stuck there instead of finding ways to maneuver and reinvent the wheel, you know, reinvent yourself, do something different. You know, although I felt like I failed with BeeSpeaks, you know, I was able to take that rock bottom moment and build I am Bianca Vann. You know, I think that if we get so caught up in the word failure and miss the lessons in those moments, that's what keeps us stuck. I think that's where you have to differentiate if I'm stuck or if I'm staying. You know what I mean? Like, are you choosing to stay in that failing moment, or are you going to figure out a way to maneuver out of it? So yeah, I do think people are afraid to fail because the mindset of failure is so. Some people just let it be like it's the end all be all. You know what I mean? Instead of
there's no other option. There's no other option. If I don't succeed at this one thing in life, then nothing else is ever going to work out for my life. And so if I fail at this, it's a wrap. I'm not going to do anything else ever again in life. But if you know the true story is that we're supposed to have multiple failures, because if we don't have these multiple failures, then we don't get the lessons, and then other people don't get to view us come up out of the failure. See, I think we do ourselves a disservice, and we do our fellow man a disservice when we act like we're afraid to fail in front of them, because then it's not showing, you're not giving God any glory in showing how you can be rescued from the failure. And so I'm so glad
Absolutely.
that you were like, I'm stuck. I'm not going to stay stuck. I'm going to come up out of this, because I mean, like, we could look at it. People think that, like, okay, I'm sure people were like, okay, you're not getting married now. Like, that's it. Who else is going to marry you? Like, you lucky to get that one proposal. We know ladies that out here, like, you lucky to get that one proposal, girl. You think another one going to come along, but I think you have to think about it and like, is this right for your life? Would you rather get rid of this one proposal or wait 19 years and get a divorce? You have to determine it that way.
Right.
Would you rather like go to school for this whole entire time thinking that you want to become a doctor instead of really living out your purpose? I think if we just start to evaluate, I'm like, when you said it earlier, a self-evaluation. When we do a self-evaluation, we can determine like, is this really for me? And if it's not really for you, you set your own expectations. If you keep your own expectations and you just pray over those expectations, and you don't really have to listen to other people, they can tell you, but their expectations are not your own. So I'm just really excited to
Exactly.
become unstuck. Bianca, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back momentarily. You stay on the line. Hey, hotties, welcome back. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Leadership Style. With over 10 years of leadership experience, allow them to help you with all your speaking engagements, communications, help them let you become the best leader you can be. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at The Leadership Style with Miss Deanna Taylor Moore. Hey, Bianca, you back?
I'm here.
Okay. Hey, girl, welcome back. All right, so now let's get into the nitty gritty. I like to call this like ripping the Band-Aid off. So let's get some real conversation here. So you're in the middle, you're getting unstuck. How do you protect your unstuckness? Like, you're making your life decisions, you're happy in the life decisions, but as you know, people come along, they are going to have their opinions. How do you protect yourself when you're walking through the valley trying to get to the other side?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is remembering why. Remembering why I decided to make this decision. And like I said earlier, it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing, and even interactions that I have with people. You know, you have to be intentional about everything. You know, you can't set yourself up for failure. No, don't get me wrong, things are going to happen, but you have to be intentional about being free, because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to have a free mindset that regardless of whatever comes, whoever comes, you know, I'm doing the best that I can do to live out the most abundant life that I can. I think that, you know, staying prayed up. I listen to a lot of gospel music. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I keep people in my circle that will push me. I think that has probably helped a big deal, because it's so funny, since I've launched the BeeCome UnStuck movement, so much has transpired in my life that should probably have caused me to jump off a cliff, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I think that having people in my life that have seen the growth, seen where I was, and, you know, Bianca, you cannot afford to go back. You can't afford to let this get to you, you know, and you have people watching you, you know, and I think that's helped a lot. And just keeping core people around you who believe in you and appreciate your growth. And I think that's how I protect it, just by keeping a solid foundation of people who will push me, being intentional about everything, and keeping my relationship with God at the forefront.
And see, I think, like, for me, like you said, keeping your relationship with God at the forefront, but also, like, I'm protective of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm protective of my heart. I'm protective of my space. I'm protective of my time. It really, I think, required, like, when, I don't know, going through trials and tribulations, it required me to be a little selfish with who I am as a person, so that I could reconnect with me, so that I could get me unstuck into a position where I could maybe help other people. But I think, like, sometimes when we're going through, we try to help other people, and so we don't tend to protect what we have going on, and then that's when you keep falling into that deep, dark place that you don't want to be in, but you're honestly not helping yourself get out because you're not protecting you. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like,
yeah, I totally get it. And you know what? And it's so funny you said that, because even that's kind of why I took a break. Once me and my fiance broke up and I moved to California, I took a break just because I'm like, how can I be a benefit to anybody? And I, in my mind, am losing it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out my own way, you know, and then once you figure it out, like I said, it doesn't stop things from happening. You just have to be intentional about certain conversations, certain people you have in your life. It's all about being intentional. I remember this one guy, I tried to, he wanted to date me, and I was just like, yeah, no, thank you. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't want to waste your time. You know, like, I'm not there mentally, you know, and I think we do so much damage during getting in premature relationships, getting in premature friendships, doing things prematurely, you know, and like you said, we find ourselves back where we started, you know, and I think that's a fear of mine too, just not wanting to go back. And I'm not even necessarily talking about just in a relationship. I'm talking about mentally, just like where I was mentally and not, you know, contemplating taking my life, like being so at rock bottom and nothing's making sense. The job is falling through. The kid is acting crazy. The relationship ain't working. I don't like the way I look. I don't feel like my purpose is purposeful, you know, you know, and I don't never want to go back to that mental space. So I totally understand what you said about, you know, protecting you. It's very important.
And see, what I want people to get a clear understanding of is that even though, you know, like people think that being selfish is a bad thing, but if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. I think I referred to this before, like on the airplane, I get this from my good friend Vanessa, like on the airplane, they tell you to secure yourself first anyway, so that you'll be able to help other people. So why wouldn't you live that in your daily life, making sure that you're able to take care of so that you can help others? Because let's face it, you can't mentally be ready to help somebody else if you're mentally messed up going through it in your own head.
Exactly.
Me and Bianca, we was having a good time on the phone. Y'all not ready. So here's the thing. Let's go back, because you said that being unstuck is actively changing. Some people don't believe in change. So what would you tell those people that are telling people like, you can't change, you're going to always be the same person, you might change for a little while, but then you're going to go back? What are you telling people that believe that change is impossible?
Girl.
Yes.
So I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I tell people all the time, like, I will never say that people can't change because I changed, you know, and I think that people who believe that how they are is how they're supposed to be, I think that, honestly, I don't want to get all churchy. I really don't want to get all churchy, but
no, go ahead. I told you, rip the Band-Aid off.
That's just, I mean, I don't know. I think that's something between that only God can do, because it's definitely a mental thing that you have to wrap your mind around. But sometimes it literally takes God to show you how much of a mess you really are, or how much of a mess you're really in, you know, for you to say, you know, okay, there's a shift, something has to take place. And and the difficult part is that everybody's not on the same spiritual level. So you know, it's a challenge. It definitely is. But I think, you know, even if people aren't as spiritual, I think that people will be open to self-examination, and that's why I kind of say, you know, start off with that, because everyone has their own remedies. Everybody listening right now may not be saved. Everyone listening may not have a relationship with Jesus Christ himself. However, they may have something that will, you know, be their foundation, or something to be their strength to hold on to. But I think that if people do some self-examination, I think that is the first place to start. And even people who think they can't change, if they ask themselves certain self-provoking questions, I think some change will show itself that needs to take place.
Okay, so you are headed to Cleveland, Ohio, which I am extremely excited about, you guys. I hope you can make it to our event. Tell us about it's the Live, Love, and Lust Tour. Did I get it right?
Love, Lust, or Leave.
Dang, I knew it. Love, Lust, or Leave. Can you tell us how you came up with that concept and what we're going to get if we attend the retreat?
I came up with the concept because I want to make each stop on the tour that we're doing. We're doing 5 cities this year, and I want to make every stop different. Different titles, different topics, different focuses. And Love, Lust, or Leave. I am a native of Cleveland, Ohio, and I wanted my first stop on the tour to be something that that would answer a lot of questions that I've gotten, because a lot of people, I get inboxes daily, DMs, asking me more so relationship questions. And quite honestly, it's from guys. There are a lot of guys that ask me a lot of relationship questions as far as becoming unstuck and things like that, or how to keep their girl and things like that. So I wanted to create a conference that highlights love in a form where we're talking about self-love. And if you're in a healthy relationship with someone else and you guys love each other, how to keep that healthy, how to keep it flourishing, how to keep it godly, and identifying what areas in our lives that we're lusting after. Are we lusting after approval? Are we lusting after money? Are we lusting after what we see on social media? Are we lusting after likes? Are we lusting after a man or a woman? And then what in our life do we need to leave? Do we need to really detach from to keep us that keeps us bound, it keeps us from moving forward? And I think that the way the speakers are lined up is going to blow. It's going to blow people's minds. I think that the speakers have done a really good job of tailoring their topics so that they're not they're deeper than what meets the eye. I know for one of the speakers, we have a male, and he's actually talking about the mind of a man. And his subtitle is "You, Me, and the Sheets," and really diving into what men think about lust and how men operate, and it's going to be a forum where we can ask questions. I mean, most of the retreats, I try to set them up where we're very intimate, and because people are coming that are broken, people are coming to be a support to other people, in a very sensitive time. So I try to structure the retreat so it's very intimate, and, healing can take place, restoration, because at the end of the day, the BeeCome UnStuck movement just wants to challenge people to step outside their comfort zone and just realize that there are different seasons, different phases in life that may need to change a little bit. Some we need to leave at the door, some we need to alter, some we need to revamp, So I want Love, Lust, or Leave to speak to relationships, speak to the heart. And at that retreat, we are releasing, I'm releasing another book. I won't go too much in depth about that, but I want to target relationships. I mean, I think relationships are so important, and I wouldn't want any place to do that but other than Cleveland, Ohio. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Okay, so you guys don't worry, because I already talked to Bianca about the book, and we will be reviewing it here because it's going to be fire. From what I've already heard about the book, from the snippet I was able to get, it's going to be fire, and I promise you guys are really going to enjoy it. What other cities are you going to, though?
We're going to Detroit, Michigan in June. We are going to San Diego in July, Washington, D.C. in August. We're going to New York City in September, and then we're going to finish it in Chicago in November. Okay,
so you guys got all the cities that she's going to. So if you live in those cities, be looking for that tour to come along. I'm so excited. What day are you here in May? Can you give us the information for Cleveland, Ohio?
Cleveland, Ohio, we will be there May 25th through the 27th. May 25th through the 27th. You can register online. We have daily rates available. We have the whole weekend package available. The itinerary has different speakers, different topics, so you can choose the days you want to come, or you can just come for the whole weekend. You can go to www.IamBiancaVann.com. Under the BeeCome UnStuck tab, there's a tab for Cleveland, Ohio. It gives you all the information. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Like,
I'm so excited for you. Yes, I cannot wait. So, Bianca, how can we as a community, in Cleveland, wherever it is you are, how can we as a community continue to support you and the Unstuck movement?
Support me in the Unstuck movement. I think, honestly, I just want...
Girl, say buy your book. Say buy my book. Say buy my book.
Of course, course, buy the book, but honestly, I want us as a community, we have to be a better people, and there are so many self-help books out there, and yes, of course, I probably should get on here and say, go buy BeeCome UnStuck. Yes, go register at a tour, stop, but ultimately, I just want people to be open to change. I think if we're open to change, then that's how we grow and that's how we become better. I literally just want to help, and I think that if people can just simple things, just share a post, share a blog, share this video, I think that the Unstuck movement just needs to get out and let people know that we don't have to stay in the place that we've always been. We don't have to stay connected to people who have served their purpose in our lives. So many people die stuck. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So many people go to the grave with regrets, and life is so short. People are dying every day, and I just want people to do some self-examination and realize, maybe I don't need this hamburger, or maybe I do need to try to get another job. Maybe I do need to write the book, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like I stated earlier, God came so that we may have life and have it more abundantly, and there are so many people who are not living abundant lives. So just be open to the idea that there may be more to life than where we are, and that's it. Of course, go buy my book. Go do that. But it's so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than me. I mean, there's so many broken people out here. Go talk to somebody. There's so many people wanting to commit suicide just because they're stuck in positions and they don't know how to maneuver out of it. I don't know. I just wish I could just change the whole world and we all just try to be free together. You know what I mean? But it's
I'm
one
glad
person
you're
at a time.
free.
So if I could just.
I'm so glad that you're free and that you were able to write this book. And honestly, people, like when you meet somebody like Bianca, who's like you, the first thing she didn't say was buy her book. You have to take them genuinely at their heart. So I want you guys to go out and support her. Her information will be available on justonehotmom.com, and I'll be posting it all over my social media because I think you guys really need to pay attention and get focused so that you can get unstuck. So Bianca, the last question. If you could go back in time and talk to younger Bianca and, before all of this stuff happened, what would you tell her to keep her from being stuck? Well, she thinking hard,
That was not a question. That was not a question you sent me. So
you said... We're talking to young B here.
Okay.
If we had to go back and say, hey, young B, girl, get your life, what are we telling her to help her?
I would tell her to don't live life by a book. Don't plan out life. I think that would be because like I said, I had my whole life planned out, and with expectations from other people, expectations from family, I had my life planned out, and life don't always work that way. I wouldn't tell her not to get in a relationship. I wouldn't tell her not, because I think I'm glad that I was stuck. Mm-hmm. So I would just, I'm glad that I was stuck. Because if I wasn't stuck, I wouldn't know what being unstuck feels like. And even going to now, not living life by a book, don't plan life out. Because like I said earlier, when I launched BeeCome UnStuck, my life has been an emotional roller coaster since that day. I lost my job the day before I released my book. Ooh. And since then, I had my life planned out. I was like, okay, I'm going to release this book. I'm going to, be working, and, life changed for me, so just being open to whatever life has to offer you, taking risks, jumping the heights, man, just going after it. Don't be afraid. Just, be open to change, be open to growth. That's what I would tell her.
Well, Bianca, I want to thank you for coming on today. I want to thank you because I really think that you will help a lot of people become unstuck, or at least start the process of reevaluating their lives. And so we are glad that you are coming to Cleveland, your hometown. I can't wait to see you when you get here. And I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity to to get unstuck, because even when you think you're on the path and you're doing the right thing, sometimes you get caught up and you get stuck, and it's okay to be stuck again and to get unstuck all over again. It's okay. Did you want to say something else?
It is. It's so okay.
Hey, Heidi. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing. It's so okay to keep becoming unstuck. Like I said, I do it. It's a daily process, and it's not an overnight process. So you have to be open to the fact that it may take a little longer. That every day you have to remind yourself. I just read my book last night because I was struggling. I had a moment and I said, okay, let me go reread some things. So becoming unstuck is the first part, but staying unstuck is really the true test of change.
Well, thank you once again, Bianca. We can't wait. We're so excited for you and for your tour and for this second book that's coming out. I cannot wait. I promise y'all it's about to be fire. Heidi, I want to leave you with this thought, though. It's like, people oftentimes think that they are undeserving of the natural thing that's supposed to happen for them in life. And I'm going to tell you here that God has already told us that we are truly deserving. It's up to you to get unstuck and know that you are deserving of those great things to happen for you in your life. We've started the conversation. Now it's up to you to grab it, take hold of it, and move forward with it. It's your responsibility. I want you to follow me on all my social media at Just One Hot Mom, and go on over to the blog, because I promise I'm going to bring you that fire, that flavor, that heat, all the sauce from around the world and in your neighborhood at justonehotmom.com, and tune into Elevations Radio, where you can get elevated daily. So Robin, we're going to go ahead and go and drop that song again, because I swear I thought it was super dope. You guys support your Cleveland artists. You've been tuned in, hotties, and guess what? You've been elevated. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Yo, this that poetry in motion, flowing like the ocean. Folks is overdosing, yeah, I know I got you open. Don't front like a blunt, you can roll it up and smoke it. Poke it in your bloodstream or sniff it till your nose drip. Like Pookie in that New Jack City movie. Get G-money, make these honeys bust like Keisha with the Uzi till I the man, son of Sam, 100 grand. Every verse is a kilo, so please come again. And again, like people fiending around the car that try to infiltrate. I split your wig like Nino Brown's barber. The slick author, push bricks like Rich Porter. I spit sick lyrics that get shipped at the border for big quarters. This rap talk is like a passport, traveling through the ghettos, igniting crack wars. Average men, they get jealous, they like the task force, cause fiends light up my records and then they blast off. Like a dealer to a dope fiend, I just give you what you sold me. That poetry from my notebook, now you roll it and you smoke it and you blow it. It's so potent, let's get high. Like a dealer to a dope fiend, I just give you what you sold me. That poetry from my notebook, now you roll it and you smoke it and you blow it. It's so potent, let's get high. Like Al Pacino, my style's illegal, like housing kilos. A Sam Rothstein scheming dollars inside the casinos, watching through people.